Well, happy day. Julie Gardner here with Rise Up Wealth. Y'all, I am so excited because which side is it going? Jake Huggins is in the house. But none of y'all know who Jake Huggins is. So let me tell you who this handsome man is wearing his lavender today. He is a native from Alpharetta, Georgia, now calling Olathe, Kansas.
Olathe, close.
Olathe. Can you tell I've never been there? I need to come visit. Olathe, Kansas. Hey, y'all, they've got more things happening than tornadoes over there. Jake is happening. He is the tornado. And then he is a graduate from K-State University with a degree in sales and a certificate with personal financial planning. Okay. Now, Jake, I'm going to embarrass you. Do a little flex.
He
was
not what it once was.
Okay, we're not gonna do that with me because I'm old lady hangy downy skin. We're not doing that, but I'll smile. But he was a walk-on and a fullback at K-State's football team, so pretty amazing. And Jake, hold up the fingers for how many injuries you have or surgeries you've had.
Oh, I'm not sure if I have enough fingers. I can't remember.
Right?
That's the problem, but I think about 8.
8? Okay, he's got 8. All right. Well, I met Jake just over a year ago, and I was referred to his dad when I was coaching financial advisors. And his dad's the president and founder of Synergy Financial Partners. And then he referred me to Jake because he's like, "Oh, Julie Gardner, I got to connect you with Jake because Jake's making things happen, and I know you will too." So we've been hanging out for the past a little bit over a year, but over the past 3 years, let me just tell you how amazing Jake is. Go ahead and blush while you're sitting there. He has been able to earn a 6-figure income. Now, Jake, how many years have you been out of college?
I've been out of college coming up on 2 years now.
2 years out. Okay. Those of y'all in the audience, wave your hands like me. I want to make a 6-figure income out of college. Yes. Absolutely. Now, he didn't do it last year, but he's doing it this year. So 2 years out of college, he's already at a 6-figure income. So most people would go, "Oh, well, his dad was the founder of the company, so everything was handed to him, right?" No, his dad was actually tougher on him than any of us. True?
Very, very true.
Story, right. Well, over the past year, he has put in the time. He has worked more than 8 hours in a day, and he's had focus. He's translated his disciplines from sports and 10 times his income. What? Give me a 10 times in the air. Come on, Jake. 10 times his income. Holla. Okay, now y'all listening right now. I want you to take your income, 10 times it, and then get excited, right? And don't be hating. Just go, "I'd love some of that too." He's also built a team of over 500 associates. Crazy amazing. And his driving force, you would think, "Oh yeah, bank," right? No, his driving force is to help people. And money's nice, don't get me wrong, but that's not his focus. So he chose Synergy Financial Partners because he wanted what? What'd you want? 2 things.
I wanted to make an impact. Help
impact. People. And you didn't want to go work for a corporation and be trapped, did you?
Yeah, it's just not necessarily me. You know, I would see so many of my buddies that they would go get their 9 to 5 because they didn't really know there was other options out there, and they'd just be fighting for the weekend, talking about my boss is golfing all the time. I'm working way harder, but I'm limited in my growth. And with sports, I'm just so competitive. I was like, I can't have that ceiling on my future at such a young age, especially.
And Jake was smart enough to go, "What are my options here? What's going on?" And he took a risk because a lot of people would say, because what he's doing is kind of sales. It is sales, but hey, word on the street, y'all, everything is sales. Unless you're sitting in a basement doing IT work. I guess that's not sales, but everything else is. So, and then here's something even more incredible about Jake. I met his dad, who was the founder and president of the company, just a little over a month ago, was in a tragic car wreck. So Jake is just kind of running his show, leading his team. Well, when this happened, he rallied with some other leaders and had a mentor. And over the past month, they have reconfigured the company to not just double it, but probably triple it in the next year. So incredible. His dad has an incredible legacy, and they're just taking it and running with it. So that is just what fascinates me because I'm all energy, but Jake has his quiet strength. He's consistent. He knows how to lead people. He meets them where they're at, and he's just always interested in other people and how he can serve. That service will take you far. So I'm just so proud of him, where he's come from, where he's going. And hello, let's go back to 10 times the income, right? Jake is definitely going to come back to our show again. But Jake, let's just talk for a minute here. I've kind of spilled the beans on where you've been and where you've come. But tell me about while you were at K State, your part-time job. That cracks me up because your part-time job wasn't too far ago.
Oh yeah, I was being a walk-on, just completely broken. They fed us during the weeks, but on weekends we had to get our own food. So I needed some extra money, and I actually downloaded the DoorDash app, and I was out there till midnight some nights listening to podcasts, driving all over the place, just grinding it out to have enough money to be able to eat some food on the weekend, believe it or not.
And so, gosh, you didn't want to stay at DoorDash for the rest of your life?
No, as great as it was, I decided that was not my long-term plan.
So, and like you said you were looking at what other people were doing. You're like, not for me. So what was it that, okay, you didn't want to do the corporate world. What did you want? Like, if you could describe, this is what I wanted.
Yeah, well, to be completely honest, I wasn't really sure. I knew I wanted to do something big and make a big impact and help a ton of people. But growing up, I was real into being a strength coach. My dad actually was one in college, and I was real into working out, not as much anymore, as you can tell, but I still stay on top of it. But then when I went
you work out daily, so you're doing
good. Just not twice daily, but no. So when I went to college and I was playing, later in my career, something called NIL started. And that's where they actually started to pay the college athletes for their name, image, and likeness, which I guess I didn't have much likeness because I wasn't getting very much money.
Sorry.
But it was just insane watching. I mean, some of my good friends I really cared about and teammates were getting sick, some even seven figures a year when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. And I mean, you could imagine being an 18-year-old. I'll speak for myself. If I was getting that money, it probably wouldn't have been a good thing. It wasn't all of them that were terrible with their money, but man, the vast majority, they were just completely blowing it.
Well, wait, and prior to some students in college, I mean, some students are given a credit card from their mom or dad to go, here, you've got this much a month to spend. They don't write it down. They don't know, or they do get a credit card while they're at college and run that bill up because no one told them. And quick note, don't do that. Only spend what's in the bank. But I mean, so they just don't know. So if you get handed a check for $100,000, great. Because if you worked at Chuck E. Cheese and you passed out pizza or you were a pizza delivery, FICA would take out your taxes. So if someone just handed you $100K, who knows what 1099 is? Who knows what all that is, right?
Right, absolutely. And, especially athletes that get to that level of being a D1 football player, typically you're thinking, I'm going to go to the NFL, and your whole life has been focused on football, and you're living your dream. So you're really thinking in the moment, but you're not thinking about your future. And it's, I don't know the exact percentage, but a very small percentage that actually does make it to the NFL. So many of these guys that they have such an opportunity to set themselves up where they don't have to struggle for the rest of their life. But one, they've just never been taught it. And two, they're not even thinking about it. So as I kind of started to see, I mean, there's one story that was pretty defining for me, actually. I was in the locker room talking to one of my teammates, and anyone who plays sports kind of knows how the locker room is. You talk smack back and forth, and he was telling me about the money he was getting, and it was a significant six-figure sum. And me just kind of talking smack, I was like, it's all fun and games until that tax bill comes. And it was like I told him the world was ending. I mean, he didn't know what taxes even were. I was like, this is a big problem. And that was really where I started to develop the passion for, okay, I want to help people maybe maybe this is somewhere where I could really make a big impact.
I'm it's so interesting you said that because I have a friend that I don't know what she was selling, some really great elixir, and she had a huge following on Twitter. She would do some show and then she would sell stuff. She made 300,000 in a year with the
Wow.
Twitter following. And that's pretty common nowadays. But did she pay any taxes? She should have. So she got a big old tax bill. And can you imagine going from 300,000 to the next year you're so broke you have to ask your grandma that's on retirement, "Hey, I need you to fix my car cuz it's broken." So, yeah, it's financial literacy is so important for them.
Yeah.
100%. So, what else have you seen with okay, so you're Gen X, right? Or are you Gen Y? You're Gen Z. I'm Gen X.
I think so. I don't even know,
We're
to be
about to
honest.
the alphas again. I don't know what happened to Gen M, right? Gen millionaires. We need to create some of those. But
Right.
so you're in your 20s and I'm not, but you're in your 20s. What else do you see happening with just financial literacy or lack of with your age group?
Yeah, well, with social media and everything, there's so many things out there, and people, they come in with no education, so they're very susceptible to believing whatever they do see whenever it's any person talking with conviction or anything like that. So they make tremendous mistakes. And in this social media world too, I think so many people, they just want to impress others. So I would see people going to get the cars and the jewelry and all those things, which are great. Enjoy your money, have some fun, but kind of like you were saying with that friend of yours, where that next year it was a completely different situation. If you think about college athletes, you have 4 years, 5 years max, and then most of them are going to get a normal job. And it's a hard transition. If you prepared for it, it's going to be a lot easier. But obviously, if you blew all that money and have a big tax bill because you didn't know what taxes even were, well, you're kind of climbing an uphill battle. So I just see the lack of a forward thinking mindset, and I don't think it's people's fault. I think it's
Yeah,
just
right.
a system problem.
So let's pretend that you were killing it and you were the number one recruit, not just a walk on, and everybody was like, "Come play for us." What pro team would you like to go play for today?
Oh, what pro team? Man, today I would have to say the Steelers, just because one of my best friends is there.
Oh yeah,
Or
and
the
y'all,
Commanders.
Jake
One of the
is
two.
a perfect friend, and he has so many great buddies that if there's any great thing about team sports is you get to be with teams. Okay, so let's imagine you're a Steeler, a fullback, and you're crushing it. And you get, let's just say they started you off with a 500,000 to come this next year to play. If you had to give advice to some players, what would you recommend they do with that 500,000?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would tell you it's really dependent on their goals. It's not really a one size fits all answer. But what I find is a lot of athletes, they always want to get to that 3 year point in the NFL because that means you're vested. So you're going to get paid forever. And there's actually strategies out there where you can build your own personal pension and get that lifetime income, whether you get to that 3 year mark or not. But these college, we'll go back to that. Athletes have the opportunity to have that vested NFL lifetime money, but they just don't know about it, and most people don't.
So even in college, if they're doing really great, and let's just say they only get 50,000, they just got a $50,000 check, and they have a free college scholarship, which is fantastic. Um, what would you say would be the best step? Like if they want to engage with you and say, "Well, I got a $50,000 check. What do I do with it?" And oh, by the way, you don't have to be a athlete that's amazing. You could just be a really great salesperson that got a good bonus for 50,000. It happens. So what would you want to do if they were to reach out to you and engage with you?
Yeah, really just having a conversation. I would say one of the biggest things is a lot of athletes are hesitant because there's so many people in the industry that are sharks just trying to get their money. You see it all the time. And so I think having a conversation with someone who's kind of been in their shoes in a way, it for me at least, when I was in those shoes, was a lot easier to trust someone when I knew they had my best interest at heart. But it's really the simple, basic things that most people aren't doing, of like having an assignment for every single dollar.
Mm.
And yeah, that's huge right there. And
And what do you
really
mean by
knowing
that?
every dollar in.
Tell a little bit more about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So people, they need to know where every dollar in and every dollar out is going. In the vast majority, I do this all the time. We call it refinancing the finances, but a lot of people I meet with will go through their monthly expenses and they'll be mind blown. I mean, they've had subscriptions for years and years that they had no idea. And I say this because it was me too, but they have no idea.
Guilty. Not me. That's you, not me.
Exist. Yeah. And I'll tell you too, these people getting big time money, one of the biggest things is protecting it from taxes. People don't think about it, but if you keep your money in a savings account, for example, now I don't know the exact math on this, but I'll get as close as possible. On average, you're taxed for every dollar you gain, 28 cents. So if you have one account over here where it's getting taxed every year, and say you start with $1 and it doubles every single year for 20 years. Well, year 20, that's going to be around $51,000. Now, over here, let's say we have a different account where that same dollar doubles, same equation every single year, but it's not getting taxed. You have over $1 million.
Oh. Oh. So wait, you
Difference.
just told me there's a way to become a millionaire without having to do more work, but just where you put your money.
You're exactly right.
That's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
and okay, so I grew up in middle America, so we just went to work. We didn't discuss these things. So, Jake, I know you offer a program called Wealth 101, and I think y'all do it on Tuesday nights. Is it at 6 Central?
That is exactly correct. Yes.
Okay. So, you can see Jake's contact on Instagram. You can also email me, but email me and we'll get you that access to Wealth 101. So what I hear you saying is, first of all, yay, you got money. Let's celebrate you. And yeah, you got football talent or baseball or soccer or ballet, or you just got some mad selling skills. Then what are you doing with it? And there's places to put your money that can really protect you from taxes.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I remember the first Wealth 101 I saw, I couldn't believe it. I thought I knew a decent bit just growing up around this, but man, it was really like the foundation to building a skyscraper. And that's really where you have to start learning the basics, and then you personalize it and build higher and higher and higher, talking net worth from there.
Okay, now, and I've got a practical hack. Listen, y'all, I know you want to look great and be all blingy. Get the fake stuff. Nobody can tell the difference. I was in a fancy jewelry store with some cubic zirconians on my ear, and they were probably like 2 carats on my ear. And the sales rep was like, "Oh, I just love your earrings." I'm like, "Thanks." They were probably $11. So get your bling, but don't have real diamonds. It ain't that big a deal, and nobody can tell the difference. And they're probably, what is that? Lab created. By the way, you can tell that this video and podcast was not sponsored by Diamonds Direct. They'll be like, "Thanks a lot." But invest well, so you have so much money, it's no big deal to go get your diamonds, but you don't need real diamonds right now.
Yeah.
That's my hat.
I had this old strength coach back in college, tremendous guy, taught me so much, but he always used to talk about the pain of discipline now versus the pain of regret later. And that pain of discipline weighs ounces and that regret weighs tons. And he was talking about being prepared for games and things like that. But I feel the exact same thing applies to people's finances as well. And it's not that you can't have any fun. I mean, just looking on average at statistics, the average American weighs $20 a day. And I'm sure looking at college athletes, it's dramatically more, but it's not that people waste $20 every day, maybe a few Monday and Tuesday, and then Saturday gets around and you're done with workouts. You finally get a break. Maybe you just finished up spring practice or fall camp and you want to have a great time and you blow way too much money. So maybe we just waste $15 a day and you start saving that $5. I remember when I first started getting into saving, someone showed me if I save $5 a day at a certain interest rate for 40 years, I'll be a millionaire. And I just couldn't believe that. I couldn't wrap my mind around like me out there door dashing just to have food has enough money where if I stick to this and I'm disciplined with it, I can be a millionaire from that alone. And that was really where it all started. And then we've built from there.
That's incredible. And let's just, before we wrap up, we could cut it off now, but hold on. We got to talk about 10X in your income, because I know that I've been on Jake's calendar, and Jake will work until 9 o'clock at night, and he starts at an early workout. What time do you work out every day?
Oh, anywhere from 5 to 6. Yeah.
Right. Like and you know what? People that work out are typically the ones that hit their goals. So there's a little nugget for you. Go work out. But you've been very disciplined over the past 2 years. Jake was telling me about his results the other day. He goes, I know you'll get a kick out of this. And I totally do, because I love to see people investing, planting the seeds in the garden, and then here comes the harvest. Actually, he didn't put it in the garden. He put it in the field. 500 plus people that he's impacted, helping make money themselves. Incredible. And he helps families all the time reallocate their money so they can be in the Millionaire Club. So that's fantastic. So tell me about that discipline, because I'm sure even after your dad passed, you didn't want to pick up and get up. And you told me you went to the gym even after that. I mean, it would have been okay for Jake to go, I'm done, thanks, or I'm going to tap out and go to the Bahamas for a month, whatever. He was back in the saddle the next week. I had to tell him, don't you dare go take a break. It's okay. But the discipline and the momentum kept driving him. So that's huge. But all year long, you probably had some friends going out doing fun stuff weeknights, but you sat right there in your seat and did some work. What drove you to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say my discipline in general, I think it comes from two places. Early on, probably from my dad. He was one of the most disciplined guys that I'd ever met in my entire life. I mean, at an extreme level. It was insane. And then obviously playing college sports, you don't really have a choice, but you learn to love being that disciplined. And then I kind of just transferred what I learned in sports to the business world. And, I started to realize, I feel, and this is a typical saying that a lot of people have probably heard, but you really underestimate what you can do in a year or 2 years and underestimate what you can do in a decade or 2 decades. But being okay with that invisible progress, right? And really giving yourself time for your efforts to compound. Well, how that happens is you put in those daily disciplines and just do that one thing, or those two things you can do to take a step towards your future. And two, it's kind of like, in the football world, if you want to lead a team, well, you have to lead from the front. You have to set that example, and everything else will follow. And so it's almost like there's a responsibility of the people I love that have been entrusted in me in this business. I have to give my all at the very least, so that they can see an example of what's possible and what to do if they want to win big as well.
I love it. And so one hack too, I guess, hack tip I've heard, you need to fast forward 5 or 10 years, see where you want to go, and then keep that kind of out there while you do the daily tasks. Have you utilized that? Has that been part of your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as looking like 5-10 years in the future, you're spot on. A lot of people, especially in a business where you're leading people, they don't care about where you've been, and they don't really care that much about where you're at. They care about where you're headed.
Yeah.
And I found that to be so true. Something that my dad always taught me was help enough people in the world get what they want, and you'll have everything you want and more. And I've realized if you just keep that focus on all about helping others, and that's really what leadership is to its core, everything else will take care of itself.
Absolutely. So I just want to encourage y'all, if you want to hear more of Jake, feel free to email me and ask me more questions about him. If you want to talk to him more, there is his Instagram account. But join us for Wealth 101, or at least reach out to Jake and start a conversation and just mention Julie Gardner that you watch Julie on Rise Up Wealth, whatever, and say, or I saw y'all yakking about the NIL, whatever it takes. But get connected, just have a conversation. Does it cost anybody to have a conversation with you, or do you charge for appointments?
I do not. No, we do not charge anything. The education is free, and I'll tell you, if anyone, they maybe love what they do, but there's more month than money at the end of the month, then maybe this is something you might want to explore. If you want more time, freedom, or fulfillment in what you're doing, well, then maybe this is something you'd want to explore as well.
Awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much. Y'all, I'd talk to him for another hour, but he's got appointments. So he's got to go change some lives. So thanks so much, Jake, for joining us. And y'all go be great. Go be you. Let's get us some cashola and let's make it happen.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed this and look forward to hopefully being invited back again. So
you may, I don't know if I want to wait till you 10x again, and I know you will, but maybe when you 2x again. All right. Sounds congratulations.
Good. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Have a great day, y'all.